guys, what's the tea? Welcome back to my channel. Today I will be showing you guys an eyebrow tutorial, and this is great for beginners, and this is how I do my eyebrows on a daily basis. So if you would like to see how I do my eyebrows, then stay tuned. Okay, so the first step for when I do my eyebrows is to brush them out with a spoolie. I have one here from Morphe, so it's a spoolie on one side and then a little brush on the other side, even though I've never actually used this side. When I do my eyebrows, I only use a spoolie. So I'm just gonna brush them out so I can really get a sense of the length. And I want them to stick straight up. Okay, that's pretty good. So you can see they're looking very bushy, and I try to get rid of any gaps at this point too, even though I end up brushing them out again. Okay, great. So the next step is to add powder to them. I like to set them before so all of the products go on really smooth. This is my Holy Grail powder. As you can see, I've hit pan and I've repurchased this probably 8 times, but this is the L'Oreal True Match powder in the shade W7. And then here I have a brush. This is just a random brush from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I actually don't know the style or what it's called or any of that, but this is what it looks like. So I'm just going to go in, get the brush in the powder, and just brush that up through my brows, just to make sure they're not shiny or too oily for the products to stick on. Okay, great. So those are set. Now, the next step is to brush them out again. This might be overkill, but you just want to make sure that they're really straight and really fluffy for when you put the product on. Okay, that's good. I use 2 different brow products depending on how I'm feeling. The first one is the Makeup Revolution. What is this called? It's just their dark brown eyebrow pencil, and it has a spoolie on one side, and that's the product on this side, and it's a twist cap, which I really like because I'm not into sharpening anything. And on other days, I will use the Morphe brow pencil, and that again is a spoolie on one side, and here is the twistable pencil on this side. And this is in the shade, what shade is this? This is in the shade Mocha, and this is their micro brow pencil. And I also recommend the NYX brow pencil. I can't remember the name, but it's just their pencil on one side, spoolie on the other side. It looks a lot like the Morphe one. And I use the shade Espresso. That is one of my favorite brow pencils of all time, but when I went to the store, because I ran out, they didn't have it. It was sold out, and it's often sold out. So I went with this one, the Makeup Revolution one, and I actually really like it. And I think it's maybe easier to use for beginners. So going in, make sure I have enough product on there. And I kind of start just by lining out the bottom. I always do the bottom first, and I make sure to arch my brows. It's okay, it doesn't have to be perfect, because we're gonna go in with concealer and we're gonna also brush everything out. So that's the bottom. And then after the bottom line, I make sure to brush everything up. And notice how I didn't go all the way in. I left a little bit of space at the front of my brow, because if you want your brows to look natural, then it's important not to have a thick line right in the front, because natural eyebrows, gradually, they're a little bit thinner at the front. So there, okay, that's brushed out. So that's the bottom. And then I think the tail is one of the most important parts. So I'm gonna start off by brushing the tail of my eyebrow forward. And you might think that messes them up, but I think it really helps so that you don't draw your eyebrows on too big. And it just helps you get a good shape when you brush them forward. That way, when I brush it back, we have that little crisp edge. And then I will go in on the top, but a lot less heavy-handed at the top, just because I always want to make sure that my brows look natural. I know, like, from 2016 to about 2018, my eyebrows were so thick and so dark. Like, that's how I would do them, and I thought it looked good. And then looking back on photos, I'll put one up here if I can find it, but I just noticed that they looked so horrible. Like, my mom would call me Groucho Marx. And yeah, they were way too thick, way too dark. It was a whole mess. But there you go. So I start with the bottom, fill that in with a line, brush the line up, and then I brush my eyebrows at the end forward so that I can go in and then do the end of the brow right here, get a good arch, and then I go in with a line on the top. So as you can see, it still looks very natural. I'm actually going to add just a little bit more on the outside right here. But it still looks very natural, and that's why I think it's important to constantly brush them out, because that's what helps everything blend together. And for me, I feel like the end of my brow doesn't really come together until I add the concealer. That's when it really pops. But then in the front, so I roll the thing down, and I literally I'm very light-handed, and I just kind of go up. That way I don't make any lines, but I still get just a little bit of pigment at the front of my eyebrows. Okay, so I'm gonna do the other side off camera because it's basically the same steps, and when I come back, it will be done. Okay, I'm back, and I have both sides at the same point. So I just did exactly what I did on this side to this side, and my eyebrows are very thick without product. So I feel like just something to mention that if your brows are thinner, I would recommend going in and kind of just brushing upward strokes, very light-handed with the pencil, kind of like what I did in the front of both of the brows, but you can do that all throughout. That way it's not super thick, but it looks natural, but it fills it in. And also, a thinner brow pencil like this Morphe one is really good for going in if you want to create hair-like strokes. I don't really do it because I think that my eyebrows are already pretty bushy, but if yours are thinner and you want more hair-like strokes, I would definitely just take one of these and just start doing strokes upwards in your brows. It will definitely make a difference, and it'll make them look a lot more natural. Now, the next step is my favorite part, and that is concealer. So this is the concealer that I use. This is the LA Girl Pro Conceal in the shade Fawn. And this is just my normal concealer color, the same one that I use when I'm doing my base makeup on my face. So I just take this brush from Morphe. You can see that. I'm not sure what kind it is, but I'll put all of the brush information in the description. But I like it. It's kind of rounded, but it comes to a little point at the top. So I just brush this against the concealer. I really like this concealer because it has the little brush tip, and that way I can just kind of brush it on my brush, and it helps me from getting too much product on. So then I just take it and I start going around the bottom. And I think rounded brushes are really, really good for this kind of thing. And this is really where you can fix your brows if you messed up while doing them. For me, I like using this step to kind of even out my brows and make sure they're the same on both sides. Like, as you can see, this side goes down a little farther than this side. So I'm just gonna go in with the concealer and try to match them up. And I also really like concealer for, you know, those days where you weren't able to go get your brows done and they're growing out. It hides that. Especially during quarantine when I couldn't go get my eyebrows done, concealer on my brows was like the best thing ever. Okay, so we have the bottom done, and you see how sharp that looks? I just think that looks so good. And as a note, if you want your brows to look really natural, I don't put concealer up here or in the front. I used to do that, and I think that contributed to the reason why they looked so painted on. So I really just do it all along the bottom and then on the arch and the tail of the brow. Because that, I do want it to be sharp, although I still want my brows to look natural. And this definitely helps, and it helps you get that good shape that you want. So once you have the shape, just kind of use the brush and blend out the concealer, and I think that looks really, really good. Love that. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'll show you guys again. Just brush a little bit of the concealer on. Go along the bottom. I need some more. And let me just tell you, this concealer is the best concealer in the planet to me. I've been using it for years, and it's really cheap too. It's like $5, and it lasts a long time, so I love this concealer. So I just go across the bottom. And I kind of use the first, whichever one I do first for reference, because again, I do want them to look similar. I know that eyebrows are sisters and not twins and yada yada, but I would like them to look at least related. Okay, and I noticed that I took a little bit more off on the bottom than I wanted to, which is fine, because I can just use my pencil. That's the beauty of the pencil. You just use it, you go back in, because I really want to make these as even as possible, and this one always goes a little bit lower than this one. So you just add some more pencil in, and you just brush it up. That's all you gotta do. Great. And I'm actually gonna add a little bit more right here. So this is the hardest part about doing brows. Adding the concealer is what makes your brows look the best, but at the same time, it's just trying to get them even. That takes a little bit of time. So now I'm gonna go in again like the last side on the arch and try to get that together. There's always one brow that comes out better than the other, and it's usually this brow for me that comes out the best. But let's see what we can do with this one. I just really want the arch to come out good. Honestly, that looks pretty good. Okay, I'll take that. So the concealer is done on both sides, and I'm just gonna remember to blend that out. And the good thing is, if you don't use too much concealer, blending it out is very easy. Because if you want your brows to look natural, the last thing you want is to have that concealer line right where your concealer starts, or right when your concealer stops and your eyebrows start. I think that looks, well, really bad, to be honest. So that is something that you definitely have to blend. And then even again, I'll go in with this Morphe brush to make sure everything is blended nicely. I don't know. Oh, this is the Morphe M173 brush, and I really like this for blending out concealer. So I just kind of go around the bottom and the top. Don't have to do too much, but I just want to make sure everything's good. Okay, so this is what we're working with. I think they look really good. And now the last step is to add some gel to them. So you can also use edge control. Sometimes I will use the Ebin New York edge control to set my brows, but I do find that sometimes it can make them look a little shiny, and that's not the look I'm going for today. So I'm actually going to use the e.l.f. Clear Brow and Lash Mascara. As you can see, I've used this side, and I think this side is the side that's for brows, and this one is the one for lashes. But honestly, I use them both. When one runs out, I'll go for the other. So I'm just gonna take this out, and it's brown, of course, because it'll turn brown because it's mixing with your eyebrow pencil. But I just get enough, I brush it, and I think that this really helps your brows look natural because it kind of brings out the individual hairs under all of the powder. So that side's good. And this side. And I literally love doing my brows. I just think brows kind of make the face. If you don't want to do lashes, I feel like you'll still look cute as long as you have your brows done. Okay, so I lied. This actually isn't the last step. The real last step is to take that spoolie again, and this is a spoolie with no product, and just brush everything through. If you think your eyebrows are too bushy, sometimes at the end when I need to get them done, I'll just kind of push it down. Okay, so this is how we have it, and I'll do a little zoom in for you guys. So there we have it. This is brow 1, and this is brow 2. I think they both came out really good, and I think they definitely look like cousins, maybe even sisters, not twins, but that's okay. And yeah, I just love how natural they look, how fluffy they look, and this is how I achieve my everyday brow look. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and also let me know, do your brows ever come out looking like sisters, twins, cousins, fraternal twins? Let me know, and also let me know which brow ends up coming up better for you. Is it the left brow or the right brow? For me, it's always the left. But yes, as I said, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video.